These are magnificent lessons for today. They may not necessarily be the lessons that we want to hear on a lovely August morning, because they are pointed, they are harsh, they are critical. They should make all of us squirm more than a little bit. I also want to sort of deliver a mini lecture about Hosea. Hosea is one of my favorite prophets. Hosea is also is probably the prophet who scares me more than any of the others, because what he says to the nation is harsh, it is critical, there is not necessarily much comfort in it, but it is a call. The prophet is calling the people, calling us to come home, to leave behind our wandering ways. Also, one of the things I want to be very clear is what you hear today is not Hosea, but who you hear is God. Remember, the prophets can only say what God puts it in their hearts and minds to say. And this is a magnificent speech of a parent who is unfailingly devoted to the children. You know, that image of lifting the baby up and stroking the cheek. Oh, that is so wonderful. And then there is the moment when, in this poem, when the parent who loves, who embraces, takes the kid and sort of says, "You idiot. How could you do that?" Both of those are parenting. Both of them involve grace and justice and the call to grow up and to be faithful. The way I have experienced this in my life was when I was a kid, we lived at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And when I say Fort Knox, Kentucky, the first thing that comes to mind is the Gold Vault. And the golf course at Fort Knox goes around the Gold Vault. And there is a course rule that if you slice your ball and it goes onto vault grounds, you lose the ball and 2 strokes. Because to accomplish this, you have to be a real idiot. There was the Tuesday morning where 4 of us 7th graders decided it would be a good day to go play golf. And we got to the 8th fairway where there is this sign that says, "Halt. Do not go get your ball." Is this something you say to 4 7th grade boys? So we sliced it off and landed it on the vault grounds, and we went to fetch the ball. We got about 6 inches over the line when we were met by Treasury Department police, state police, and the MPs, who were not amused. And they loaded us up in the back of an MP cruiser. And at this point, the MPs are thinking, "Oh goody, this is going to be fun." Because the first place they take us is to the Provost Marshal's office. Guess who one of the miscreants' father was? Who explained to us in graphic terms what we had done. And then we were taken to the next office. Then we were taken to the third office, which was my father. And then we were taken to the fourth office, which was the post commander. And the one thing you needed to know about General Irby was the madder he was, the quieter he got. It was a frosty conversation. And then we were taken home. And by this time, our mothers have heard all about this in graphic detail, who then once again proceed to explain to us that we're idiots, we're morons, what were you thinking? Clearly you weren't thinking. And they want to sort of offer a parental strangle. This is what parents do. Parents also stroke and touch and love their children. And in those two things, they call on us to grow up, to learn what we are to do, how to be faithful in a time when it is hard, when there are many temptations to go fetch that ball. This is what Hosea speaks to us about. And then we turn to the gospel for today, the story of the rich fool. And this is a story that I have always never quite sure I quite get the point. But this time round, what I realized is the point of this story is in the very last phrase. To be rich towards God. To be rich to the one who hugs us. To be rich towards the one who insists that we grow up. So how are we rich towards God? The suggestion is in the practice of thanksgiving. Yeah, this story talks about an abundant harvest. Anybody who has ever done any farming or gardening or has spent time on the land knows that abundance is a gift, something you cannot count on, but that you rejoice. And the way you keep abundance is not to tear down the grain silo and build a bigger silo, but is to share what you have received in gratitude. Being rich towards God is the gift of saying thank you. Being rich towards God is sharing the gifts that we have received. Saying thank you. Being rich towards God is to live in the conviction that there will be enough. And to have the discipline, the grace, the awe, the wonder, to be surprised at what enough looks like. We do not get to dictate to God. We do not get to send in our order form for what we think abundance looks like. We are surprised by the faithfulness of God in Christ, who calls us, who gives us all things necessary. In a few minutes, Melanie is going to take some bread and some wine, and she's going to bless it. And it's going to be broken. And respectfully to the bread bakers in the congregation, it's not very good bread. It's not very good wine. But it is the abundance of the body and blood of Christ that is given to us in just enough to give us life today and for tomorrow and for all eternity. So, our way of being rich is to say thank you and to give back something of what we have received, so that the parent who hugs us, the parent who can pat us on the cheek, the parent who can get annoyed will always love us. Amen.